What if I told you the way you're currently making decisions is making them harder than they need to be? On top of that, what if I told you that the way you're making decisions is wasting your most valuable resource, which is time, and also likely wasting money? And that most of the time, when you go about making decisions in these ways, it leads to the wrong choice. After being a coach for over 5 years and working with plenty of individuals who make decisions about their life in a more authentic, value-based way, there are 3 different myths that keep people stuck, and that by busting these myths, you can get over and start making decisions with ease, with confidence, and with a little more lightness to your decision-making process. So today I will outline what these 3 myths are so that you are aware if you may be falling into one of these 3 or all of these 3 myths, bust them yourself, and find a quicker, more effective and efficient way of making confident, authentic decisions. Myth number 1. Someone else has the advice I need to make this decision. If you are holding on to this myth, what this looks like is constantly seeking other people's opinions. Maybe that's in the form of conversations, calling all your friends, calling your parents, calling your siblings. Or it could look like seeking opinions by doing research online, looking at all the articles or Google searching the answer to your question, scrolling through Instagram or Pinterest to look at how a perfect life should appear, what the right decision is for your life partnership, when it's time to have kids or change careers or ask for that raise, how much you should get paid, whether or not it's worth it to live out of a van or move to another country, how you should decide to use your time in retirement. With whatever your decision is, there are infinite, millions of perspectives and opinions. What I see so often with clients and in myself is you can continue to search and search and search and search. And along that search, because there's so much, not only do you never get to the end of it, because there is no end of it, but also you may get more and more confused because there are so many different opinions and pieces of advice out there, some of which directly conflict with each other. For example, if I fell into this myth and believed someone else had the answer for how I should spend my time as a business owner, I will find infinite perspectives, all of which are options that work for other people. So it's not even that I can disprove or prove that these options are right or wrong. Rather, I'm faced with this pool of options to wake up at 5 a.m. and grind all day, or I read the book Do Less by Kate Northrup and realize that I could cut out half, if not more, of the tasks I do in a day. And when I'm stuck in this myth that all of these people have my answer, I feel more lost than ever. Because if they all have my answer, and they're all different answers, where do I go next? This can also look like finding an answer and trying it on, it not working, and then you being very confused about why it's not working, especially because it totally worked for someone else. And if you're stuck in this myth, you suddenly feel like something is wrong with you. It must be a you problem because this is the correct answer. If you see yourself in any of these scenarios, if you have this feeling that maybe you are buying into this myth that someone else has the advice you need to hear to make your decision, take a breath and consider, maybe you have your answer. This isn't to dismiss the data searching and the asking of opinions and the bouncing ideas off of business partners or family or friends. All of that is welcome in this process. However, the important piece, and I know you've heard this if you've been following me for any length of time, the important piece is to ensure that after all of that, or in the midst of all of that external seeking, you create the space to also filter it through yourself. So maybe you even try on the cookie cutter approach or the direct advice someone gave you for your decision at hand. But then you do a check. Is this working for you? Is this leading to where you wanted it to lead for your life, for this decision, for the outcome you assumed would come when you took the advice from this person? Or potentially you trust yourself and you trust that if this is your tendency to seek out, to gather all the data, to have all of the opinions first, that you've already done enough seeking. And now you can simply trust you know your answer. Take a breath, listen to it, get the support of a coach if you're not hearing it clearly, and listen to your voice, your gut instinct, your heart of what decision you want to make. If you're holding on to this myth and you're ready to start releasing it today, proclaim it right now in the comments with a great proclamation of, I trust myself. I trust my choice. I trust my decision. My in all caps. This is yours, and no one knows your best choice for your life better than you do. Myth number 2, the decision I'm making right now is forever. Not gonna lie, I get caught up with this one as well. And this one, in my experience, can be tricky because sometimes the wrapping around this myth is one that assumes we're just being smart in the decision-making process. We're just being extra careful to make sure that this is the right choice. We're looking out for our future and being intentional and reflective with our decisions. This can look like excessively pulling up our spreadsheets and our pro-con lists and talking to people all the time, going back to the first myth. This can also look like procrastinating with this decision, always waiting just a little longer to gather just a little bit more data and really make sure that what your gut has been telling you or the way that you're leaning is the right way after all. But just like my camera battery just dying and having to replace it, which is why the angle just shifted, you may have to or want to change your decision in the future. And drawing out this unexpected battery metaphor, that doesn't mean the first battery was bad. It just means that the first battery ran out and now it's time for a new one. With your decision, it doesn't mean necessarily that first decision was bad or wrong, even when or if you choose to change it in the future. That just means that decision served you for that time, for some reason, and now there's a red flashing light going on somewhere in your life that says, time to make a change. There could be so many reasons why you fall into this myth, or even want this myth to be true, that this decision is your forever decision. One of those reasons is that change can be tricky. Change can feel challenging, it can be hard, and so the thought of avoiding any change in the future is a comforting one. Along the same lines, the thought of knowing for certain something now and in the future is also a comforting thought. Furthermore, many of us hold on to beliefs about ourselves that we have to be or we should be perfect. We should get things right and do things right. And so grappling with the concept that maybe we're making a decision that isn't right or that we would change in the future invites us to come face to face with the reality that we are not perfect humans, that we make mistakes, that we learn, evolve, and grow with time. And this myth may be alluring because of some underlying belief of what happens when we make a right decision. Potentially, we have a belief that says, if I just make the right forever decision, then I'll be happy. Then I will live a life of ease. Then I won't face challenges or hardship or feel pain and hurt. So for a combination or all of, or some other reasons that may be coming to mind for you, we hold on to the myth. We believe that this decision is our forever decision, and therefore we have to get it right. Here's what I've learned about this myth, and like I said, I'm still coming to grips with it at times. The best we can do, the best you can do, is take your best guess in this moment, at this time, with the information you have from where you are currently. And yes, there is an amount of writing out pro-con lists, doing some research, checking in with your gut, even hearing the opinions of others that is helpful when it comes to making an honest and self-aware decision. However, no amount of research, no amount of time, no amount of ruminating will guarantee this is the right forever decision. It may be the right forever decision, and we make decisions all day, every day. Life happens, situations come up, we change, people change, circumstances change, pandemics happen, and many of those aspects, in fact, most of them, are unpredictable. So there's no way of knowing for certain for sure that this decision will hold forever through all of those changes. And what if by busting this myth, by accepting and coming to terms with, I'm definitely speaking to myself here just as much as you, coming to terms with this doesn't have to be the forever decision alleviates the stress and allows you to simply hear what we talked about with the first myth, your gut feeling, your best guess right now. And then not only hear it, but allow yourself to just follow through with it. Try it on. See how it feels. And because this myth is now busted, that also gives you permission that as you try your current decision, you have permission to change or make a new decision, potentially in a week, in a month, in a few years. Or you may celebrate and savor that this decision persists. It's feeling good. It is continuing on the way you originally thought it would. And like we've talked about, there is some comfort in that. There is some feel good in that. So let yourself feel good. Let yourself enjoy the decision and the other side of that decision. But you won't have that opportunity if you continue to stay in this phase of making sure it is the absolute right decision, because that leads to the rumination and everything we've already covered. If this myth is one that you find you're holding on to and you want to start flexing that muscle and practicing and proclaiming that this doesn't have to be your truth, practice it in the comments right now. Right. My decision does not have to be forever. See how it feels? Maybe it also brings you some lightness and comfort and ease, and I'm right there with you. Decision-making myth number 3 is I don't know the answer. One of my favorite quotes of all time is, you ask for advice when you already know the answer. You're just too afraid to admit it. If this quote resonates for you as well, you may also be an individual who has those gut feelings and sometimes feels scared as heck to feel them fully. Trust me, I have been there. Maybe check out last week's video where I talked about a few decisions that felt really scary. And when we work through these decisions, especially if you have a gut feeling about them, they are so worth it on the other side. But why are we holding this myth in the first place? One example I talk about in my book, Ready Enough, is our school system. At least most individual schooling in America is very oriented toward looking to others for the right answer. Our teachers know best. Our professors know best. The test key knows best. And if we come up with some creative solution or alternative right answer, that is frowned upon. In fact, many of us are to believe that another right answer can't possibly exist. And after enough years of looking to others for the right answer, some of us for nearly 3 decades, once we include our early professional life of looking to those above us in our company or even role models doing similar things that we want to do with our careers, that connection that someone else has the answer and I'm always to look to someone else for the answer is really strong. Another reason this myth may be so strong links back to that quote, in that your gut feeling may not be the easiest or most comfortable path forward. And so it's easier to lean on someone else's advice because that pathway is already outlined. Because there's already a rule book to follow. There's already check boxes to check off for yourself. Whereas your gut feeling may be a little more authentic and therefore may be a little more unique. And you'll have to do a little more critical thinking and problem solving of how to live that version of life or how to play out that decision that is unexpected or not the status quo. Or yet another reason why we may adopt the myth that I don't know the answer and someone else does is that it takes away our responsibility of the outcome. Because if you make a decision, if I make a decision solely or largely based on my gut feeling and what I think is best, if the outcome isn't as I had planned, if I fail, that's all on my shoulders, or mostly on my shoulders. I can't blame someone else or some other rule book or some other process. And that's a lot to take on, to potentially owning up in the future to say, that was my best guess and it didn't work out the way I thought it would. I lost money, I lost time, I changed my mind later on. All of this is to say, it's understandable if you're holding this myth. And it keeps us stuck, and it definitely keeps us from living your authentic life because you're not listening to your gut feelings and intuition and desires based on you. So check in with yourself, either using that quote, advice is what we ask for when we already know the answer, and consider, do I already have my answer? Do I already know in my gut what my decision is? I may just be now facing some fear or discomfort because of that answer. Or even when an answer isn't yet clear, can you live in that space of trust to believe, I know my answer, I will feel my answer, I will know it when it arrives, or I will know it when I come upon it, and then I can act. And it's okay to be in an in-between space where you don't yet know the answer, but you know you will know your answer when the time is right. If this myth is resonating with you and you are ready to start trusting yourself, give this video a like. cheer for yourself, and spread some camaraderie among the entire Yes and by Maren YouTube community so we can see others believe as well. And there you have it, 3 decision-making myths you may have been holding on to, which keep you stuck, make decisions harder than they need to be, and waste your valuable resources. Let me know in the comments, were you holding on to any of these myths? Are you still potentially buying into some of these myths and want a little more perspective or conversation around another perspective? If you benefited from today's video, please give this video a like. It greatly supports my channel. I appreciate you so much. Maybe share this with a friend who is currently facing a tough life choice. And if you are not already, subscribe to this channel for free trainings every Tuesday with coaching practices based in positive psychology and centered around authentic decision making. And if you are already a part of the Yes and by Maren YouTube community, maybe it's time to take this one step further and join our group coaching calls that happen every single week inside my group coaching program, the Yes and Experience. You can start a free 14-day trial right now by clicking the link in the description. Not sure how long I'm keeping this trial live, so click that link now or send me a message if you have any questions about it. Now that we are all a little more enlightened, I highly suggest you check out this video next, because once you bust these decision-making myths, it's time to actually walk through the decision-making process. And yes, I have an entire book outlining 7 stages of decision-making with practices you can implement right into your life immediately, depending on which stage you're on. But this video talks about the real deal, the real experience of what it's like to walk through this journey so that you can identify which stage of the process you are currently in, normalize the experiences, the emotions, the feelings, the doubts, the worries, the excitement that may be with you at this time, and continue your decision-making journey so that you can finally arrive on the other side feeling more confident, feeling more excited, and feeling more grounded in your life choices.